Welcome back to the Epic Workout. This is the theme about resourcefulness and depth. So I'm Alex Iglesia, and we're going to look at the 48th hexagram, also the 48th gene key and the 48th human design gate. But we're also going to then go into movement and mobility. So here's the basic plan. I'm going to show you the movements that go for the 48th that help you directly step into that 48th theme, archetype, and see what's there for you. Align with it for yourself. It's very, very rich. Then we will build the mobility, and then we will play with the movement. So this is a workout for all levels. It's going to be pretty gentle, but I'll talk about how you can scale it if you wanted more strength and conditioning. And I welcome your questions. So thanks for being Epic. Here we go. The two movements that help you step into the 48 come from UZAZU. It's a mind-body modality that helps us dimensionalize the hexagrams, among other things. And the first position is gateway. So it's like stepping away from the screen just a little bit more towards you. Arms up and wide, legs a bit wide. Gateway. So positionally, we've got our shoulders up, you got your legs wide, there's a little bit of tension in your core. And then your attention is towards you. This is the first pose. I'll talk about how we build it in a moment, but I want to get you going. The second position is called pillar. Again, we're going to step back, up, this time narrow. So gateway was wide, pillar is narrow. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means and how you can use that for your integration, your goals in a little bit. So pillar, tall, back, strong, and gateway, wide, back and strong. Let's put them together. We're going to start with gateway and then go to pillar. Back to gateway, back up and wide, and then simply come narrow to pillar, and then wide to gateway, and back narrow to pillar. So just mechanically try it out. You can't really do it wrong. Just notice what it's like. And I'll show you one thing that it's not. It's not coming forward. It's not out here. This is, and we'll see in a minute why, both of these positions are more about yourself. They are more where your attention is on yourself or in here. So let's wrap it up with just putting the two together one more time. Back up and wide. And back narrow and tall. Let's address the mobility that we're going to come back to in a minute. So you can see what's going on in the shoulders. There's a lot of movement in the shoulders. There's a bit of movement in the legs going from wide to narrow. So predominantly, we're really interested in shoulder mobility here, especially across the body. And I'll show you a few fun mobility drills you can do. And then we're interested in width with the hips. So abduction with the legs in various ways. There's lots of ways you can play with that. And spinal integrity. And you can try this. Hopefully you're trying this with me. You can go side to side and have a very fluid spine. And you can go side to side and have a more stable spine. Now you're still going to get some spinal lateral flexion in each way. And that's fine, but that's the game, is are you able to discern inside yourself what's going on and create a little bit of stability or a little bit more fluidness? Now for the 48, for this hexagram, we actually want not too much rigidity, but a sense of stability, a sense of activity. Let's talk about why these moves. Let's build it together. I think this part's really fun. It also starts to reveal a lot of the patterns that are very, very helpful for when you're wanting to align for yourself, understand these patterns better, and go beyond the words to be integrating the words for yourself. So when we look at the hexagram, we read it from the bottom up, and we start with the bottom trigram, the bottom 3 lines. The broken line is a yin, the solid line is a yang. Yin The first line means we're going to go back. So there's something about this hexagram that is a bit more where the attention goes over here internally. Second line, yang, we're going to go up. So there's something about this that is self-oriented and active, in contrast with self-oriented and soft and passive and receiving. So we've got back and we've got up. The third line, yang, is going to take us wide, which moves us out. This is going to bring in more perspective rather than more focus. Narrow is going to generally bring our attention more in, more focused. Wide, a bit more out, more variety. So we've got this built sense then of self, active, many. If we're looking at self in an active way with perspective, then we're talking about self-perspective, self-esteem, how you think about yourself, generally speaking. And there's a lot more to this. That's the bottom trigram, which is like saying, where are you with resourcefulness? Where are you with depth? Or where can you be in what's possible? Well, I can start off in this sense of self-esteem, which is going to teach us a lot about resourcefulness and depth when we bring in these themes to the movement. The top trigram then is sort of like saying, well, where are you going? Where are you? And then where are you going? And we read it again, bottom line, first, second, third. In this case, it's the fourth, fifth, and sixth line. So the first line is yin, so we're going to go back again. That hasn't changed. The second line, yang, we're going to go up again. That hasn't changed. The third line, though, is narrow, or yin, instead of wide. So we're going to stay narrow, and that builds the pillar. And in this pose, where before we were really focused on the perspective and the many and seeing things, now we're in it. And there's a general sense of focus. So when we're focused on self and attending over here, and active and focused, what's available? Motivation, clarity of what you want. What's the impulse and the energy that can arise for action? So we've got a sense of self-esteem and a sense of self-motivated action, fundamentally, at a pretty broad stroke. So let that sink in for a moment. What is it for you to blend the foundation of self-esteem, moving towards self-motivation? Starting with how you see yourself, coming into yourself, to being motivated to act in some way. Resourcefulness and depth. So there we are. How cool is that? So we'll come back to embodying the hexagram at the very end. We've activated it now, stirred up some themes for you. We'll finish off with a deeper mind-body dive. Next up, let's do mobility. For mobility, we're going to do three things actually. First, this is a club. You don't need a club. I just want to show you where this move is inspired from. Clubs are an ancient tool for warriors and mobility, and they're really fun to play with. There's a move where you rotate the shoulder all around. We can go the other direction too. And what I want you to pay attention to is the shoulder is crossing the midline of the body, or the elbow is really, but the shoulder is getting to go through full circumduction, a full rotation, almost everything that is available, that it can do, everything that it can do. So this is going to be our fun shoulder mobility. Arms down, out, wide, drop it down, across the body. At some point, you'll bend the elbow right about horizontal. Hand goes to the back of the head. Elbow continues the move until you're back wide again. Arms straight out. Now, you can't really do this wrong. The point is to get a lot of mobility through the shoulder specifically. So try not to rotate your spine right now. But go gently so that you're feeling. So the general way of being with the 48 is going to be starting from a more observational place and coming more deeply and more deeply into it. So going deeper and deeper and deeper. So this move is going to start off mechanically, like, okay, did I got it? I got it. And then pay more and more attention. If there's any little glitches going on in your shoulder, slow it down. If you feel some burning, you're getting a little bit sore in certain parts of the smaller muscles in your shoulders, slow it down. Make it softer and easier, but yet without collapsing and sort of giving up. You can find a way to stay active. Let's switch arms. Arm to the side, drop it down, cross the body, bend the elbow, hand to the back of the head, elbow continues, and down you go. Hopefully you don't have a chair in your way. So the 48, we're playing a lot with keeping your attention more inner than outer, while having a sense of being active, core, muscles, attitude, and then really playing with width. Your ability to go outside perspective, inside perspective. That's one of the challenges of the 48. When you read about it in the Human Design, it talks about, I'm not ready. It can easily be, I'm not ready, and I'm going to keep gathering the resources, and I'm going to prepare and prepare and prepare, and still I'm not going to be ready. So there's a fluidity to going narrow and wide, wide and narrow that can be really, really helpful for your preparedness, for your readiness, for your projects. Okay, that's our shoulder mobility. Next up, really similar move. We're going to do it with the legs. I'm going to lower this so you can see more torso and hips. The first move is very similar. We're going to just do knee circles. So pick up one knee across the body, up and around, reach the leg, and then draw it across. Knee, relax the leg, across, reach through the heel or the foot. There's a lot of variety there. So to begin with, try not to, well, first just notice how the move is for you. It can be challenging. You can make the move smaller. First rule, go light, let your nervous system learn. If that's feeling good and you're not getting any major clicks, pops, or soreness already, then you can start to rotate the whole body more. And to get the most out of it, make sure you're breathing so that your nervous system is learning, receiving the movement, and you get a little better and a little better and a little wiser the more you go. Switch legs. Knee across the body, out, reach through the leg, and back across. Playing a lot with width. Clearly there's a lot more going on. There's rotation in your hip. There's extension, stretching the hamstring. But for the most part, breathe. And then relax it, release it. Now, if you had more time, if you want to be take the next level to being thorough, you'd go the other way too. The last mobility is for the spine. So take your legs comfortably wide and lean to one direction, and you'll feel muscles engage through your spine. Come through middle, lean to the other direction, and you'll feel muscles engage. You come back through, you'll feel them kind of turn off. So first, start by going slightly side to side in a relaxed way so that you feel your shoulders are going to tilt around and you feel flexion, lateral flexion, bending through your spine. Okay, good. That's part one. Now stop. Create a bit of a stronger core as if you wanted to resist the lateral flexion. Don't tip over. Be a bit more straight spined, and you're going to feel a different kind of engagement. Good. Relax. We're going to put those two together. Create that sense of being active, alert, present, and a little bit light and fluid. So you're not going to be snaky and dancy, and you're not going to be too rigid, but play in the middle. Have a little bit of both. Side to side, light core. So we're really playing with always ready. In an ideal state, you're always ready. Because in the body, what is not being ready? Well, not warmed up, and I can't respond, and I don't have activity, the ability to engage and to respond. It's also being so tight, so fearful that you can't move fluidly and quickly and responsibly. So let's finish this last few moments of playing with a supple, active spine, and then let it go. All right. Now our movements are where we get into playing with normal human functional movement, squats, lunges, push-ups, pulls, things like that. You can do the movement patterns, for example, of an overhead press, whether you have weights or not. And in this case with pillar, we're really interested in overhead press. Now I don't have dumbbells with me, but we can still play with that. Now we can take this basic movement pattern, we could take it to the ground in a downward dog and do basically handstand push-ups or downward dog push-ups. So there's a lot of variety here. I'm going to give you the most basic stuff that you can do just standing and playfully. So whether you have a whole lot of time for strength and conditioning, or you're just doing recovery and you want to feel good in your body in the morning, this is going to be great for you. Now I like to use a timer. I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute. Now we've got four movements that we're going to do. The first one is simply squatting. So do this with me. Comfortable leg distance apart, hands forward for balance, just sit your butt back, and then come back up. So super, super simple squat. If that's challenging, do less. And if it's easy, go ahead and go as far as you're comfortable going. Now, when you come up, we're going to reach all the way up. So basically, we're really emphasizing the pillarness of this, the narrow, active, forceful, motivated doing. So here we go. Let's just try 3 to get you into the groove. Drop down, come back up, and reach up. And 2. And 3. Okay. For the workout part of it, we're going to go for 1 minute. Now the game is keep going for the whole minute. You can slow down, you can speed up, you can go deeper, you can add weight. So again, you can scale wherever you like, but stay in it and bring that attitude of observing yourself and then more and more noticing your own inner motivation as you go through it. Here we go. So squatting and reaching. A variation is you come all the way to your toes. Another variation will be to touch the ground. This is a great one to find where you start to notice thoughts of, I'm not ready to do that. Or, I'm ready to do a little bit more. That's our time. Now, when your breath is a bit challenged, one of my favorite things to do when we're doing an epic workout is bring back our mind-body move, in other words, our direct hexagram, as our breath recovery work. So, gateway, let your breath start to smooth out, and then move gently into pillar. As relaxed as you can in a recovery type of fashion. Move it back to gateway and wide. And remember the words of the gateway. You may yawn a lot. It's probably not just breath when you're doing mind, body, or energy work. It's more of a little clicks into alignment. So resourcefulness, depth. We'll bring in a few other layers at the end. Okay. The next move is core. Now we're playing with width. And the core move, well, there's lots of core moves that you can do. What 48's really interested about is your ability to stand strong, like that pillar, like you can support something, like you can take the time, you've got the strength to self-reflect on your darkest stuff and your greatest stuff and really acknowledge your greatness and your challenges without collapsing. So we're interested in this stable spine. So the move I'd like to have you do, invite you to play with, is a progression of stability in the core. So we're starting off knees and feet on the ground, arms and elbows together. Take knees and elbows wide. Don't rest on the ground, but go to a range of motion that feels like it's the limit, and then gently come back up. That's the move. There's some variations. Go slow enough that you don't feel any pain. You can stop before maybe you get a little bit impinged or there's an extra strong stretch. Don't do that, not right now. But look at your control and keep increasing your own resourcefulness and depth, your mastery with this basic movement pattern. Okay, so that's variation 1. That's the easiest way. The further out you take your legs, the further up you take your arms, the more and more challenging this gets. It looks something like, we'll do this for a minute together, but the legs, the heels will go wide, further out, the arms can go a little bit higher, and then again, wide and narrow. And if you wanted to make this extra hard, you're going to take the heels and actually move them. So it looks like this. Heels lift, take it wide, and come back to narrow. And for the most difficult one, everything is fully extended. Legs are straight out, arms are straight up and overhead, hands and heels lift, take it all wide, and take it all narrow. So let's take 1 minute and you do your variation. It's fun to move towards more and more challenge, but if you find yourself holding your breath, take down a notch, because again, we're trying to bring attention more and more safety, more and more inner awareness, and that takes a bit of relaxing. So we are moving towards, we've got sort of a yin trajectory with this. So bring that into your attitude and your style with doing these movements. Here we go. Narrow and wide. Either knees move or heels move. You do 1 or 2 if it feels good. Make it a little bit more challenging. If it feels too challenging, bring it in more, lighter. You can even bring to mind the keywords again, resourcefulness and depth. This light intention in the background. That's our time. Let's take a moment to recover, reset, back with just the pure hexagram, wide, gateway. Remember the words resourcefulness and depth. Hold them lightly. Come slowly narrow. And relax. And if you need a bit more breath and recovery, take a bit more time. Our last final move is a little bit more on the conditioning side, but again, we'll scale this for everybody. There's a move called a skater where you jump back and forth. So it's similar to that. If you examine the move, there's a lot of change of width, narrow, wide, and a lot of balance, which requires, again, like tiny, micro, narrow wides of recalibrating where the heck you are in space. So this movement then is going to start off by going foot to foot to foot to foot. And you can try this with me. And while you're doing it, especially small, you can really notice the micro stabilizing actions in your core. Because if you relax it, you'll start to fall to the side. And if you're too rigid, your neck's going to get tense and you're going to feel like it's going to actually slow you down. But there's a sweet spot of reactivity, of constant readiness, if you're relaxed enough and stable enough. And that's going to let you start to expand the movement wider and wider until, again, you find a sweet spot. You go a little bit too far, and all of a sudden it starts to feel a little bit sluggish and a little bit effortful. That's too far for now. Find a place where you've got this rhythm, this reaction. Okay, stop. That's the basic move. So we're constantly finding the sweet spot so they can be super resourceful. In other words, reactive, ready, feeling strong and stable, and also able to be present, able to pay attention. You go too far in either way, and something else has you gotta sacrifice something. You gotta sacrifice some attention or some sluggishness or some effort. If you want to start to challenge this more, you can put some weights in your hands, or you can simply just reach the arms in the direction that you're going, because that'll create a bit more force and resistance through your spine. So simple, keep your arms really still. More and more challenge, arms go with you. You can play, again, there's a lot of varieties to bring in function and gravity and resistance. We're going to keep it simple. So 1 minute, going side to side, start. Reset, refine your sweet spot small. The smaller it is, the more you can pay attention inside, and that's the depth. That's the resourcefulness. Don't give that up. Make it a little bit bigger if you like. Add a little bit of reach if you want. But notice where you have to start sacrificing your inner awareness. Fine tune it for you, about halfway done. Now's the time. Go ahead and rest. And as your breath harmonizes again, catches back up to you, play with the gateway and settle into the pillar. Resourcefulness. Now, I think these epic workouts are really powerful around the intention, because you're using your body in so many ways to embody these themes. So a lot can come up in terms of synchronicity and synergy and something showing up, or you knowing that you need to make a new choice over the next few days. We're going to wrap this up with one final integration piece, and that is to use to draw in the more fearful energies, the things we don't want to face, and also draw in the gold and the golden shadow, the things we really want, and bring this into the embodiment. That helps you really expand your range to tolerate these themes and notice them without reacting them in the world, as well as choosing behaviors that align with them. So that's very, very foundational replatforming for your body, mind, and soul. The words are inadequacy, resourcefulness, and wisdom. So it'll take just about 3 minutes. I'm going to walk you through these themes. We start with the gateway again. We've been playing with resourceful, so let's tap into resourceful. Resourceful is, yeah, I can appreciate myself. And moving into pillar, I can be self-motivated. So what is inadequacy? Well, it's the failure to be able to do these moves. So there's an inability to come up and active, an inability to go wide. So inadequacy is, I can't have self-esteem, and I can't be self-motivated. Did you notice a difference in the way that felt from the first time? It probably felt a little bit more contracted, a little bit more resistant. So again, use the words, or at least hear mine. I can't appreciate myself coming narrow, and I can't be self-motivated. I can't have depth. One more time, a little softer, a little more gently. I can't have self-appreciation and appreciate myself or be appreciated, and I can't know what I want and be motivated. In other words, I'm not ready yet. Now, the mind-body cleanup, the healing, the integration happens by holding that lightly and allowing your experience to come through. We can stop, we can do some tapping, we can stop and do some meditating if it gets, something really comes up, or journaling. There might be work to do with this, and that's actually really helpful to get aware of what's in the blind spot, what's in the surface, underneath the surface. Gently now, just to purely use the mind body as a tool, do the move 3 more times, but let go of the words and just feel. So starting wide, bring it narrow. Back to wide, bringing it narrow and in. One more time, wide, narrow. So hopefully it's feeling a bit more fluid, and you can start to feel your own creative expression of the 48 hexagram. And this is what then starts to give rise to the higher theme, the higher aspect of this theme, which in this case is wisdom. So if you're not attached to your identity, if you're not attached to what people think of you, and you're allowing attention in, and you're allowing motivation to come through without getting in the way, I don't know about you, but that sounds a little bit like wisdom to me. So we've got the basic template, and now you're finding your own flow with it. And the more you play with it, the more you'll notice little glitches, and the more you'll cultivate the state for yourself and be able to recognize it in the world. So the last piece of this for today is let your attention move around the room. Find something that's interesting. You don't need to know why. You just turn towards it and do the last few gateway pillars and bring your attention to self while being in relation to whatever else is in the room. Last move. Let it go. Let it go. Let the whole practice go. Take a moment to let all the tension out of your body. Anything that's holding hands, wrists, just drop. Bend your knees lightly. Close your eyes for just a moment like a standing Shavasana. If that's unstable for you, have a seat or lay down. But just a brief moment of stillness. Just follow your breath and let everything else go. Good, open your eyes. So thank you. This has been the 48 hexagram. These have been the themes, an epic workout around the themes of resourcefulness and your depth. So I'm excited to find out what you've got, what's been opened for you. So you can let me know at any time at Alex, emailing me at alex@iglesia.com, or connecting with me on Facebook. There's some other videos here that I'm linking on YouTube. And of course, subscribe so you can hear when there's more hexagrams available. Have a great day. Thanks for being epic.